Plan for today. As previously discussed, announced, we are starting GUI, and GUI takes time to get comfortable with. You're not necessarily familiar with this way of programming GUI. Maybe you do, but definitely not in Android. So it takes time to get used to it in specific context. For Android, in the language that we use, Kotlin, you will see it's not object-oriented. In some sense, it is similar to React, but it's not exact copy-paste. I posted another exercise, and I'm asking you to modify programs that will create in class with adding extra features. I plan to take dice cube program that already has cube logic in it, and I'll explain it. It has just its empty project with some testing and class that is tested. So it has also some theory about Kotlin and additional theory about Kotlin that I'll explain. And after this, we will create some simple GUI about rolling dice. It will replace images when we click roll button. And to display value of this result of the roll when we press roll button. I want you to practice independently. Probably will have some time left in class or at home before next lesson. Modify the code. In addition to result of the roll, each current roll, to display number of times we press roll button, it's roll count. And also, so you need to add additional counter. And also display total of the rolls when we press it. So it is sum of the rolls. And also add reset button to return these two counters to 0. So definitely it is extra GUI work to add some items on the screen, right? And additionally some simple logic to maintain two counters. It shouldn't take long, like probably within 1 hour, for sure. So this is the plan. And we will do it simplest possible way today, not simplest possible. I would say medium, medium way of doing it. And at the next lesson, we will learn how to do it better. In terms of separation, business logic into different file. It's already separated into different file. It is a class file, call it dice cube. But also, we will separate it GUI layer into a sublayer, GUI itself, and view models, view model layer. A view model has specific purpose in Android, which is different from other view models what you may encounter in other programming systems. And you will see what it actually means, and it's necessary. Actually, in Android, it's necessary. So to reduce complexity, there is no view models today, and also to match how Google course about Android proceeds, it explains it without Android view models, and later it introduces view models. So just to stick to the same logic. I'm referring to the course listed first in resources, course resources. It is the one that I tell quite long, slow. It is the one. It starts with explaining layouts, how to do layout, how to put label, text label, then image below, then labeled on top of the image, how to organize things horizontally, vertically. I assume that you will get some idea of it when you add stuff to the screen, additional thing. You play with layouts to see how it behaves. The best way to deal with it is just to look at existing code or play with layouts yourself and see how it will end up. When I will create this project, as a GUI, I will refer to project that has more features. So in case I forget something, I will keep it open, and I will ask you to please clone it, so you'll also have it open, so you can look it up as well if you want to copy-paste items. Unfortunately, a GUI is typically has lots of things, like lots of nuances in terms of alignment, and so in terms of gaps, in terms of sizes, colors. And it's hard to remember it, so for this reason, I just keep it open in case I need to look up. So this is example dice game for next week. It is quite fancy, but it has different GUI features that we can just open and see. And, okay, we need this, so let's get it. And this is how I figured it out. This is probably the easiest way to deal with this GUI. Instead of reading documentation, pages and pages, just open something that has multiple features, look up how it's done, and borrow the ideas and change it if you want. So this is my approach, at least works best for me. So the starting code is from DiceCube. First, I will ask you to clone it, and I will explain it. It doesn't have a GUI at this moment. We are going to add GUI, and perhaps I will add a little bit more. And at the next lesson, we will add view model to see how to add view model to the project. Then it will keep going. It is a simpler version than dice game, because dice game has multiple dice in it. It is hard to explain it right away because it's the first program, so I posted it for sake of having copy-paste now from GUI features. So first, let's open DiceCube. This is just images, because in order to display images, we need to get it from somewhere. We can also copy-paste it from Android program directly, select and paste. But it's not always possible to have Android program with already images in it to copy-paste. So today we will see how to get it from just folder with images. Okay. So for this reason, I uploaded those images as a zip, so we can unzip and get it from it. So let's clone a DiceCube first. So when you click on it, it goes to our GitHub. Next, you open Android Studio. You'll probably have you will have at least one application in it. This is extremely inconvenient. You see, I cannot really resize it. And it will happen, if it happens in Android Studio, something cannot be used, I will just change font size to smaller. So unfortunately, this is side effect of it. Some images, unfortunately, they're not, see, it's not really resizable because it's outside of screen. Okay, so I will clone a repository. But before cloning, I click it, DiceCube Android, say copy. Then I go to Android Studio, and I paste it with Command V on Mac, Control V on Android, on Windows. Right? When you clone project, make sure it is creating folder for it, and it goes where you want it to be. Okay. I think I already have such folder, so I don't want to clone into the same place. So I will say, instead of this, I will say in class. Okay. It doesn't have to be name of, I'm lucky, so it fits on the screen. Int, click clone, and just wait. Questions? Make sure you are creating folder for that project here, so it doesn't go into root folder. Otherwise, it may mix stuff in it. Yeah. So I click clone, and just wait. Trust project. When it says invalid Gradle GDK configuration, close it. It's meaningless, in my opinion. It will fix this automatically, so what's the point? It's still doing importing, so wait till this is done. Currently, it has only extremely primitive GUI that has only hello Android and it's nothing else. I added business logic so we don't have to type it, and business logic is only one file plus testing. So let's see what we have. In resources dice cube, we have main activity, which is created by default. It is hello Android, or hello something. I think it is hello Android. Yes, hello Android. And I added main just to run it to see what's happening. Because I added in the model, I added dice cube class. So let's look at the dice cube class. As previously discussed, in order to make tests reproducible, we need to provide random number generators parameter to constructor. If we just provide random number generator without default, it will be harder to use because you will need to create this object, or you will need to refer to objects in order to provide parameter. So for this reason, I'm using default parameter like to a function. We can do it to constructor. So I assign it random.default. A default is static, is inside of companion object of random, similar to this companion object here. What a companion object means? Companion object is shared between all instances of all objects created from the given class. So when it creates the one dice cube, assign it to variable 1, cube 1, right? And do it for cube 2, this will be shared in between. It doesn't have to be constant. You can make it updatable. And when you update it in one object, it will update it in the other one because they refer to the same place. So this object will be referred to from other objects. So technically, it's not copy. It is reference to the same place. I define it initial value for the same place logic discussed before. By the way, parameter, right? If I say just random without this piece, it will be parameter of the constructor. It is given as the parameter of the function and forgotten after you call constructor. But if you want to keep it inside, and in this case we do, because it's a random number generator that will be called on each row, we need to preserve it. We don't want to create it each time. For this reason, we can either create variable and assign to it, right? Private variable and assign to it. And this is just a shortcut. So if we see private val in front of the parameter of the constructor, it's a shortcut to create instance variable inside of the class and assign to it. To preserve this parameter. As you see, I don't have declaration of it. And if I declare, I wouldn't have private val. I will have assignment to it from the parameter of the constructor. Okay. And if we don't provide this parameter, it will be random default. This is the initial value. So when I call reset, when we call reset, it will assign the initial value as before. In our previous example, it's what we did in class. And when we call roll, I assign next int from 1 until is not included. So it will be between 1 and 6 with included ends. When we declare a function inside of class, it becomes method. So it can access instance variable like this random. And this is method call of random object. When we create a function, we can, int function is simple and returning value, we can assign this value directly to a function. So this function is returning string, and I'm using template of a string as previously described. When we use quote, we can insert any value inside of it or any result of the calculation. If it is just variable name, not expression, we can use it directly after $sign. If we have some calculation or some dot in it, right, which is also calculation calling method, right, or referring to the value inside. We will need to use curly braces so it won't be considered as a part of the string. Otherwise, it will confuse whatever after this value will become part of the string, part of the template string. Okay. What override is about? At the previous lesson, we learned that override means polymorphism, right? Change behavior of this call defined in parent class. But there is no explicit parent class here. We don't inherit from anything. Similar to some other languages, when we define class, they implicitly inherit from class called object. So string function to string function is defined in the class called object. If we don't override it, it will be just name of the class and some number. I don't know, some reference in memory of that object, probably. Join it to the name of the class, which is not very informative if you want to print some values that you store in this class. So for this reason, if we want to print it in some nice way, we override to string. But if class is data class, toString is already provided automatically to data class in such nice way, so we don't need to override it. This is not data class. And if I print it, it will be some name of the class and some number, perhaps reference in memory or something like that. If it is data class, it will be printed out similar to this one. So in data classes, we don't need to do it. This class is not defined as open. It means you cannot inherit from it. In Kotlin, inheritance is not allowed by default. You can inherit only from abstract classes, interfaces, and classes defined open. Okay. There is also sealed variant. Sealed is also designed to be inherited from, but only within the same file. Is inside of the same class, or you create class inside of class, or another class within the same file. So sealed technically open for anything inside of the file, not outside of it. When we declare some variable inside of the class like this, technically it's not just value. It is value with setters and getters. And the value referred by setters and getters are hidden inside. So it is not this variable. It is something hidden inside. When you assign to it, it will call set. When you take value of it, it will call get. And those setters and getters are provided by the system under the hood. But if you want to change behavior, you declare them yourself. For example, in this case, I declared set that will change behavior of assignment to internal value. Right? So in some cases, declaring set makes a lot of sense. In this case, I'm setting value of the dice, and it should be in the range between 1 and 6. Right? And if it is outside of this range, I'm throwing illegal argument exception. Please notice when we create an object, we do not use new in Kotlin. In other languages, we do, right? And in Kotlin, we don't call new. And this is just constructor call of an object, of a class, illegal argument exception. This is a range. This part, it's not part of the code. It is like a command added by IDE to tell us that it is range. In the actual code, it is just 1.6. 1.6, it's an object type range, and it can be used with in operator to check if this value in the range. So this is what and return is Boolean. It's returning Boolean. Okay. This is a special keyword referring to stored value inside of the property. We really have to use field inside of set. We cannot use value. Why? The reason why we cannot use value because assigning it to value is calling set. If we use value here, it will call set. It will be infinite call of set. Infinite loop of set calls. So for this reason, inside of set, we use field, which is value hidden inside of the property, and it can be used only in set. Okay. If you use value elsewhere, like here, it will call set. So technically, when you assign this part, it will check the range, and it will throw exception if it's outside the range. So it's an extra precaution if some of the code goes wrong, right? For example, I put some accident 0, whatever, right? Okay. So this is how to override set. You can override get, but when you override get, there's no parameters. And get will have returned in it. Or you can assign return value similarly to string directly. When you use get, you can do equal sign and assignment. If it is simple code, you can do that. Questions? So let's see testing cases. I think I generated test case for it. I'm not sure because I wrote it a while ago. So yes, I did. So how did I do it? I just right click and I say generate test. And please notice that we need to switch it to 4. JUnit 5 is not supported by default. We need to add and edit lots of code in order to make it work. Not lots, libraries, code. It's a chore, and it will not be supported by default anytime soon. Because priority of it is extremely low, according to Google, because they don't really need JUnit 5. It is just a nice thing to have, but it's not something essential for them. So when we write Android applications or any code related to it, we just use JUnit 4 now. This part seems to be bug. It's not doing anything. If you click fix, it will disappear. Next time when you open it, it will be again. Android Studio is made based on another software called IntelliJ. And it is IntelliJ IDEA, community edition, with additional things from Android. Maybe in IntelliJ IDEA it works differently, but in Android it appears like it's just a bug. Just ignore it. When you create tests, it will go in testing section like here, and this will be called before each test, and this is after each test. You select things that you want to test, but you can add them later or delete them. So they are not hard-coded in generated code. You can edit, you can add your own functions for testing, provided they are marked add test on top. So I click it OK, and next thing, it asked me where to put, and it was obvious choice, this folder, so I click on it. So this is how I got this test. So as you see, there's nothing on top of it, but methods do have something on top, right? Before will be called before each test. This is after each test. I use it just to separate them. Okay, we can initialize it, And when we provide seed to random, and you see random number generator object is given to dice, it will create reproducible sequence inside. It will be kind of random, but each time when you run it in a loop, it will be the same sequence. Okay. So what is my first test? Set value 3, which is legal. So set is 3, and after this I'm printing dice cube, and I'm printing, and I'm checking that it is equal to 3 inside. So it is indeed setting it. Okay. So this is the easiest way to check condition. If code is crashing, this test will fail. You can run tests separately, and when you run this, it will be added to drop-down list here, just this test. If you run them together, entire piece will be also added to drop-down list here. So, for example, if I run this one, it will run just only one test, this. But it will compile entire class, so it has to be compilable. Otherwise, you cannot run. Here it is, and test result, test value 3, dice cube 3. It didn't crash. Our condition is true, so it passed. But it ran it only one. If we run you see it's added. No, you didn't see, but if you click on this, you will see. It added entry specifically for set value test. If we run all, it will add for all tests. And after this, you need to be careful what you're running. Is a test or app? So sometimes it's easy to get confused, especially when we're tired, or we run something and it doesn't do what we want, but it's actually several things in the list. We're running not what we think we're running. Okay. So what is the further thing? And this is how to make sure it is thrown exception. When it's thrown, it throws exception. Inside a third throw, it means it's passed. Because when we assign it to 0, it has to throw exception. This is how to check throwing exception. Because if it's throw exception outside of a third throw, it will fail. Because but this is specifically to check that it is throwing exception. Okay? And this is exception type. This is Java type, so this is why it is column and Java. All right, so testing role. In JUnit 5, there is such thing as repeated test. JUnit 4 does not provide it, so but we can do it easy way, like less fancy way. We can just have a loop inside. Okay, but JUnit 5 has annotation repeated test. So I created loop for value. And this is how to have a for loop in the range, just a reminder, right? And this is how print, and this is extremely similar to your knowledge from C, right? If you're taking course in C, this is how to format stuff inside of C, but printf in C just looks like somewhat different, right? Printf will have this string, comma, and variable. But convention is similar, okay? Except dot formatted is to the string, right? And this is print, not printf. So it is a combination of two calls, not one printf call. So it's a method of a string to create a string, and this is to print it. And I'm rolling. After this, what do I do? Assigning value, printing value, and then checking. It's another assert, and I say, in this case, it is true, just to check if its condition is true or false. Okay. So what does it do? It is running this 20 times, right? And checking that each time it is inside of the range. So did I get it? Yeah, this is repetition. This is why it was print, not println, because I wanted to, it is on the same line. Println will take you to the next line. In value, right? And it printed it and shows range. And reset, I roll it, value before reset, reset, value after, and I'm checking that after reset, it is equal to initial value. So I set equals. So if I run it this way, it will be just that test. Before reset, it was 1. Just by accident, I didn't call roll. Or I did. Let's see. Oh, I did call roll. It was just by accident 1. Okay. If I call all tests right here, it will, like at the top of the test class, it will create, it will run all of them one by one, and there is some way to create folders here. What somehow didn't show, I need to click something to make these folders. Yeah, this one, this button. Okay, so to see results of each test separately. Right? So this is a reminder about tests. It's a good way to check business logic. There is a pedestrian kind of slow way to check business logic. It's not the better, but definitely it works. If you add main function to any file, it will make the file runnable, so you can run file. What do I have here? Some testing with prints, blah, 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 but it's also demo of some new piece of theory. This is called scope functions. This is just repetition of 5 times and print out, so this is not scope function. But later, there is a demo of scope functions. Here it is. There are multiple of them. It is list of all. It is, in my opinion, it's not necessary to remember. Just know that such things exist, and let's see how it works. So if we have an object and call let, so it's this kind of extension. Okay, it works for any object. Let define it inside of it that refers to this object. So you can call it reset, it roll. And let will return the object itself. So you can insert it inside of it, and it will call println. Oh, no, sorry. Not object itself. It is whatever is mentioned last. My mistake, not object itself. Whatever is mentioned last, it's IT value, so it will print value. So it's not object itself. Why it is it can be useful? If this is nullable, you cannot call these methods right away because it could be null. But you can use question mark right here, so it will not call let. So this part is not executable. So this trick is used a lot in older Android code when they have some value which could be null. In order to call things and not to crash or call it at all, they use question mark before .let, and this code will be executed only when it is not null. Apply works similarly, except it defines this. Right? So these functions are called on this object. So it defines this implicitly inside. And it is returning this part. Let's see. My role is void, so it has to be returning this one. Is this void or not void? Let's check. Dice cube. Yes, it's a returning void. So it has to, what's the point of printing void, right? So otherwise I wouldn't write this code. Okay. Also is similar to let, but it is returning object itself. So this is not the last thing mentioned. And with, where's the with? Yes, here's with. With is defining this inside and returning last one. To me, it is extremely kind of tedious to remember. Just know if you see with, let, also, it means just scope functions. And if you want to see behavior, just look up. Or if you want to use them, just look up. It's probably easiest. In my opinion, just it's tedious to remember. I'm explaining it because it happens a lot in Android code, especially older code. Somehow, in newer code, they still use it, but not often.
So, if you want to use it, you say look it up.
Yeah, if you don't have to, you don't have to remember.
You don't have to.
Yeah. It is for the purpose if you see, for example, with, so it doesn't shock you. Just know this it's a scope function essentially. So essential thing to remember that with, let, apply, also. They're scope functions. This is what's good to remember. So it's not shocking. If you can always look up details. Currently, it is not common in Android code, but it happens. In older code, it was all the time.
That code, would it still work if you didn't use it?
It works. You can run it. So this is if I run main, it works, for example. So it's a demo, it's runnable demo, not just printed code. So this is a result of the run. Okay? So they can be a little confusing if you see this first time. This is why I'm telling you about them ahead of the time. Okay? Next. Let's talk about GUI. So I'm wrapping up a discussion of plain Kotlin. At this moment, we will return to other features of Kotlin as we need them, essentially. Now let's talk about GUI. This program has default GUI. When you create project, it's created from scratch. So let's look at this GUI. We have a class main activity. Inheriting from component activity. It's a special class for Android activity. It is one of the structural units of Android application. In older days, activity was the only way to create a page of an app. And if we needed another page, we had to create another activity and start it. We need to create intent. Intent, it's another structural unit of an app that describes what you want to operating system, and it will, in call start on of an activity, you call in this event to open another activity. It caused lots of inconvenience, in particular how to pass data in between, because you had two structural units, and you need to somehow pass data in between. It was possible to pass key value pairs in simple types, like integer, double, strings, when you open it. It was possible definitely to save it in some database and get it from the database. It is a fancy way of doing it, or write it into file or some key value pairs file. So it was a convenient way to do it, essentially. And it was before Android 3, so it is really long, old history. Currently, we do need to open another activity from one activity if we need to open another app, essentially, there's no other need. Okay? So we still need to sometimes open activity, but only because you just want to interact to another app this way. There are other structural units of Android app, and activity it is just one of them. Activity is mentioned in manifest file. Manifest is essential description of your app. And if you have more than one, it will be more than one mentioned. And this is activity that is told that it is launcher. So it is activity that is launched by default when you double click on the icon. And it also mentioning icon somewhere. You see, launcher icon. And launcher icon lives in resources folder of the app. It is in here, launcher icon. Okay. If we have other other structural units, for example, services, also unit running in background, it should also be mentioned here. Then broadcast receivers, so that your program wants to receive some broadcasts of data. So there are more. Okay? Or also, if your program needs some special permission, like access to internet, and it must, so you don't, no point of asking user, should you allow or not allow? You mention it here. So it is for the cases when application does not make sense without access, without specific privileges. User will know when you install it, but it's not for the cases when you ask for it, essentially. We will see. It also refers to label, right? And label it as string in string resources. So let's talk about resources. Since it is mentioning icon resource, like launcher icon strings, resources are defined in res, and you can define them per resolution of the screen. If it is scalable resource, it's not per resolution. It can be scalable in pixels. If it is in pixels, it is. If you define one, Android system will try to scale it, and it's not necessarily optimal way. Another way of doing it is to define it for different resolutions. Resolutions are defined in ranges, so it's not infinite number of them. It is just for ranges. So these are resolutions. So they have a launcher icon for different resolutions of the screen. In the folder structure of the app, they're in different folders. So if we switch Android to project files, we will see it as folders. It just displays them with different annotations. Okay. What is this? It's the same icon, but with rounded corners for different devices. Okay, it's your device has a preference, so system will pick correct one. What about this? Also resources that can be defined for different screen sizes and different programming, different user languages, locales. By default, it is default, but if you create more, you can specify for specific one. For example, you say new, values resource file. You say, for example, strings. It's just in directory values. And you select it according to locale. And if it is according to locale, you add. You need to give some name. According to locale, if you add it here, you select locale, so it will be for that language. It is good idea if you want your program to switch languages as user switch languages in the operating system. So operating system will pick correct language for your app. Okay. This can be defined the same. For example, even strings can be defined for different screen sizes because on smaller screen you may display it differently, shorter way. Or even in combination, in some language, depending on size of the screen, you can change how you say it, whatever. Okay. It is just introduction, so you know what it's about. We will not play with different languages because it's hard. It's extra work, and it's just play with it when you need it, essentially. But this is how to do it. You can add resources depending on locale, depending on screen sizes, and so on. There is one resource which is not shown. This is theme, and this is kind of small because there is also theme defined here. There is a theme defined inside of UI. Where it is? Here it is. Theme. And this theme, it is for newer Android apps using newer UI that we're going to learn. That theme, it is for older code. Remember that in just header of it, just little thin piece on top of it. I remember that when we discussed older and new way to code GUI, we learned that it is done compatible in the sense like part of the app could be left in older GUI, but newer feature is added with newer GUI, so it is ported gradually. In this case, it has to be 2 because older GUI understands only this. Okay? So this is a reason. The same about colors. Colors for older system is here. For newer is here. But you can use these colors even for newer one. So this is probably what we'll do today. We'll insert color here and use it there. It doesn't have to be, but we can do it. So when you click on this, it defines colors. Use it by the theme. If you need more colors, you just put it below, copy paste it. And the same colors are defined here. The way how we use it is different. That color is that used from resource. This is just a variable inside of the file. So these colors are used in themes here. See, you refer to that variable and assign to it. Okay, what else? XML, some configurations. Okay, some configurations of the project. Sometimes if you have a security rule for your app that you want to set up, it's not default security. Sometimes you will have set up in XML file that lives here. Okay. What about Gradle scripts? In the simple app, we have simplest app, we have 2 Gradle scripts. As you see, project dice cube. So this, it lives in different folders. This is, although name is the same, they live in different folders. This, it is global one. It is just because project can have several modules, there is one global and one it is local per module. Now, simple app when you generate it, it has only one module. Why we may have more than one module? For essentially for organization of the code and compilation efficiency. If we want to work on GUI module and business logic module separately, if it is complicated business logic, it makes sense to compile it separately. So it's not compile it together and link it together with GUI each time. Also compiler optimize it, so it doesn't have to recompile it, but at linked stage it is still linked together. So it is the for coding compiling efficiency. Potentially you can have several apps within the same project as separate modules, and you run them separately within the same project. So technically it's two things. One, it is for compilation efficiency. You can split your app into modules for code organization and compile it, say, more organized way. Okay. Second, we can have even separate apps within the same project. You can see in some examples, they do several apps within the same project. Okay, this is why it could be more than one. If you open this one, it refers to aliases. This is a new default. I open it global one. This is new default that came up in the summer 2 years ago. Not this summer, summer before. No, 1 year ago. In the summer 1 year ago. So I had to rewrite examples, okay, because it's just, it's using different thing. Okay. Previously, it was names of these stuff, plugins, as a strings, not aliases. And last time I checked, examples from Google, from the course I'm referring to, is using older format of build Gradle files because it was done 2 years ago. So they didn't change code for 2 years. So they have these two build files different inside. This is referring to aliases, and this one is also referring to aliases here, and this piece is also aliases, but for libs, for libraries. These things, what you see here and on top, are defined in the file, call it blah, blah, blah. Okay, where is that? Tom.l. Okay, this file. If you open examples from Google, from that course, you will not have this tom.l file because this information is directly in build Gradle files. What do we have here? Version numbers are assigned to variables. And then they define aliases and actual names of the libraries. Group and name. In older format, it is one string, group, column, name. And I think version number is somehow also joined, I forgot how. Okay, so it is one string essentially. And now they decided to stay more consistent. It makes more sense to have version number separate because the same variable can be mentioned in different libraries to stay consistent. Previously, they defined variable in build Gradle file for it. So when you open the examples, you will see. So don't be alarmed if this is different. It's just, okay. We have to deal with it. Okay. If you open your new project created from scratch like that, and you want to insert library into here from older projects, so it will not come with alias name. It may work. It's not guaranteed, but it may work. It may suggest you to replace to a new one. Automatically, you say yes, and it will try to do the best. Okay? So it's not end of the story. You can copy-paste library from older code into this place in dependencies in older format. It may work as it is. Not guaranteed, but it may. I tried. Okay, and it can also suggest you to replace it by. You click on it and say, do you want to replace it to newer format? And it will try to do its best to replace it. And it also may work. How aliases are defined? You see, it starts with lib, and after this, word.word KZX. When we go here, in Tom L, there is no lib, and we have dashes instead of dot. Okay? And after this is just actual name of the library and version of the library. So in libraries, there is a prefix lib, dot, in order to refer to it. In plugins, there is a prefix plugin, dot, and after this, dot instead of dash. What is here? Your choice, essentially. It makes sense to refer to actual library name or somewhat close, but it is just essentially your choice how you refer to it. You can just use one word if you want. But if it's just one word, it is probably less clear what it means. Okay? Questions? At the next lesson, we will learn how to add libraries. Now just it's default. When you create your project, or you create the same project after a while, some of the things can be in yellow. In yellow, it means just a warning. When you move mouse on top of it, it will suggest you to update library. When you move mouse on top of it, it says update to this number. You say yes, and it will update. After doing so, you really have to sync project with elephant button. Any edit of build file or tom.ml needs to be requires synchronization. And warning, it may break your compilation. So before doing it, make sure you commit it to Git so any update will not break it. There is also some updates that may pop up. Update Android Gradle plugin, AGP. Update AGP, Android Gradle plugin. That update can also potentially break your code. It makes it not compilable. In most cases, it won't. So before running update AGP, make sure you committed your code so you can roll back. And after those updates, you definitely need to synchronize project, otherwise it just won't work. Okay. So that was introduction into what we have. So let's open main activity back. It is inheriting from component activity. If it is activity that potentially has older code, class from which it is inherited is just different activity. When we override functions, we change behavior of a parent class. So on create is called when activity is created. And what do we set? We set content of it. In older examples, specifically for older GUI, we had to override a lot of things in main activity. In particular, we had to override saving content of the stuff that we display because although activity is structural unit of the app, this object is discarded by default when you rotate the screen. Okay? So by default, if we don't do any precautions, all data that is currently on the screen will be discarded because this object is discarded, created from scratch, it will be default values. So one of the primary reasons why we use view models, because view models survive rotation, it's a separate object, and it will be reattached back after rotation. So one of the primary reasons for view model is to store things that should survive rotation. And also to store references to tasks that should continue during rotation and after, so they're not killed by the rotation itself. So this is one of the rationales of using view models, and we will learn about view models in the next lesson. There is another way, instead of using view models, is to override functions of main activities that call it before rotation and after. One, you need to save it, one to retrieve it. And the way to save it in activity is to save it as key value pairs. And key value pairs, it is has to be simple types. So it is a little more tedious, then we will learn how to do it today. In UI GUI, we can preserve things, data during rotation directly inside of composable functions. But it will be a good idea only for simple data. The best way is to do it inside of your models. Next, what do we have here? This is function call that takes lambda function as last parameter. And it is probably the only one, or previous one is used by default. So set content, it's a function. It's a composable function. This is also a function call. And what is here is lambda function. So it looks like a little new because seems like language features. No, it is just function call. Scaffold also function call. It takes this parameter and many others that are assigned by default. We just didn't override them. And this is lambda function. And this lambda function has a parameter in a padding. So you see, this is now, it is explicit parameter of lambda function called by scaffold from inside. What is scaffold? It is organizational unit for a screen. So it is composable function. What is a composable function? Function that defines piece of the screen. These functions are called repeatedly each time when the system needs to refresh it. It means you need to be careful about the data inside of it. And when if you put some print, it will be called print each time when it's called. So we have to be very careful about logic inside of this function because they are called by the system when system wants. Okay? So it's not your choice, essentially. You need to trigger them when you need to update the screen. Because it is called when system wants, so but you have an option to trigger them. In order to trigger them, there is a special kind of variable that you can define inside of the function. When you change the value of it, it will trigger update. Okay. This is another composable function with two parameters given. Please notice modifier. Modifier, it's a way to change behavior of a function, and it is quite common for composable functions. When you create your own composable function, you can also create parameter modifier, and that will make it more reusable. So when it is inserted inside of another composable function, you can change behavior of your function in terms of alignment on the screen. So, because when your function is called with different modifiers that specify different alignment, that part of the screen will be in different place. If you don't provide modifier, it will be less flexible, essentially. Okay. And modifier, this call creates modifier object, so you can use dot and call another function on it. So you can chain. Padding. In other GUI, including web, you know about padding and margins. In composable functions, you can have only padding. There is no margins. So you have to play with it only with padding. There is no margins. What you see here, inner padding is given to greeting, right? Set up modifier for padding. Okay. So what is inner padding? Inner padding is provided to this lambda function by scaffold. Scaffold is used to organize stuff on the screen as toolbar at the bottom, but toolbar is top bar at the top, toolbar at the bottom. Other things at the side could be floating action button, like floating button you click. And this manipulation can create some extra overlaps. So in order to avoid overlap between what you have on top, on the bottom, and your own stuff in the middle as well, you need to pass inner padding, so those things will overlap empty things on the screen. So toolbar will not cover your text. So this is the purpose of inner padding, to avoid undesired overlaps. For example, middle portion of your screen contains text and toolbar on the top. Padding will be height of the toolbar. So toolbar will overlap on the empty portion of the screen, not text. Okay. It is given to greeting, and greeting here, and you see it is given to text. So that padding will be passed to text object on the screen. So text is also composable function. What is about preview? There is no drag and drop feature of creating layouts. In older GUI it was. So you pick some button on the screen, or in the menu you drag it and put it on the screen where you want. No chance. You have to type or copy paste. I prefer to copy paste. Typing is kind of okay. But you want to see how it would look like, and without rerunning project each time. So this is why we have preview functions. We can have more than one preview per file, and its system will try to update it as you type. If it figures out that it cannot, it will just show refresh button, so you will refresh it. So this way you can create GUI by typing, and seeing this either side by side or by switch. So this is a meaning of preview functions. Okay. How to see it? If it is this, you see only text. If you click on this, you will see preview. So if you edit it, it will change this part. Preview, by default, is not runnable. In order to run, you can only see what you show in the preview. In order to run it, you need to click run and it will open device. So it says up to date, but I don't believe it. Because it's supposed to show hello Android, but it doesn't. So build and refresh. Loading. Maybe we need to stretch it. Maybe it is just small piece somewhere. Okay, let's do it one. Okay, with this one, 1-to-1. It was just a small piece. Okay, hello Android, and so let's try to change it to Sheridan. Did it do loading? Hello Sheridan. So you can change such things without rerunning the project. And you can have it in any file, more than one. So if you have more than one, there is option to organize it differently on the screen, put it on the grid, put it like vertically, whatever. Okay. In this case, it's only one. We will delete this one. Okay, questions? Okay, so I want to unroll change. Because I want to create extra branch, I call it GUI. And I cannot really switch out of something which is edited. It will tell me that all is loose. Yes? Yes, so you don't have to restart your app each time when you change something. But it does, when it stops updating, you can click rebuild, or it will just warn you that you need to update. There is no other way to know how it looks like before you run the project. It's only create preview functions and see what is going on. Okay. Now, let's create another branch and call it a GUI, whatever, edit GUI. A new branch. And if we select checkout, that means we're switching to it. If we don't select it, it will just create branch, but you don't switch to it. But you can switch it at the top. GUI. We cannot use space in name of the branch, so we either use minus or underscore. Okay, great. So it will appear at the same place because it is the same code, no extra commits. When we commit something, it will show up there. So now it is just a GUI. That is GUI without main. We can delete main if it bothers us, right? So, just keep it. So let's try to stay organized and move GUI into separate file from a main, because potentially we can have a lot of it. Okay. So what I want to do, instead of keep theme, delete this greeting because I don't need hello Android anymore. And now I have warning because in the padding is not used. It will give me a warning. It didn't do, but it will. So I want to separate this scaffold inside of another function. And I will call it app root screen. Root means taking everything. So all other things are like a tree, right? It's one piece inside of another piece, so can be visualized as a tree. So I call it app root screen. In Google examples, it is called, without keyword screen, it will be app dice game or something like that, if it is dice game. I think it is confusing because later we will need to create classes called application something. So you'll get app dice game, then application dice game. In my opinion, it's a little strange idea. App dice game and app application dice game. This is what happens in Google examples. So what they call it app something, I just call it app root screen. So I extracted, say, refactor, extract function, and it says where in main activity, KT, it is inside of the file, not class. This will be inside of the class, but this will be inside of the file. Now, if they told me type name, and I say app root screen. And it already has parentheses, so I press enter. So they created app root screen with scaffold. Now you see it is kind of warning that you don't use in the padding, but we will fix that. Right? Now I want to move it even outside of the file. Just because it goes outside of the file, I will probably remove, not probably, I will remove private because it would be private to that file, okay? And I cannot call it from here, right? If I move it as private to different file, I cannot call it from this file. So this is my rationale of removing private. I keep scaffold in it, I will fix it after. Okay? And now I want to move this function, extract, refactor, extract function. No, it didn't say. So what it is, I probably need to. So let's delete this thing as well, greeting, because I don't need it. Okay. Right. Now I want to extract this function. So I think we need to just highlight, then refactor, extract function. No? Why? Let's try to do just function without composable on top. Let's see. Extract, refactor, extract function. Why? Sorry, not extract, move. Oops, move. Okay. Sorry. Right click, refactor, refactor move. Let's try this. Refactor move. Oh, fine. Okay. Do not highlight it. Just move mouse on top of the name. Right click on it, say refactor move. Okay. And now let's move it to UI, because technically it's user interface. And activity is not only interface. It looks like interface, but it has lots of other things, not user interface. Okay. So this is why it lives outside of UI. Then you type UI package. It suggests file name app root screen, makes sense. And say refactor and add it to Git. That was Git warning doing it to edit. And now it moves to here. Right? So right click on the name of this, select refactor move, it goes there. So we're learning using Android Studio as well. Right? So going here, fine. In main activity, everything that we don't need, it was already removed, cool. What about here? What we do need is already imported. So this is why creating empty file and copy pasting, it is less efficient than refactoring, because it is importing stuff as well. Okay. Next thing. Let's create preview. Let's add something inside of it, so we can see it in the preview, like text. And we need to import. It is composable text. This is why it was in red. I think it is like that. Yes, text. And give it some name. Hello. Hello, Dice. What's this called? Dice Cube. Hello from Dice Cube. Hello from the Dice Cube. And you see this modifier, right? So let's okay. A modifier. Remember how it was. A modifier adds padding. A modifier, not add padding, it was inner padding. Now it's happier. So let's format it nicer by adding next lines. Next line. Okay. Here it is. And now it is happy about inner padding. That will give it to text, so it will be some frame around it. So let's create preview and see how it behaves. So preview, composable, because preview is composable, and then fun. It has to be different name because it's within the same file. App root screen preview. Root screen preview. And here it is. We want to apply the same theme. So it is Dice Cube theme and app root screen. I'm calling this function, so I will create preview. Okay. So now I have preview in this file, one preview for app root screen. So let's see what we have. It says we need to build and refresh, right? So let's build and refresh. Okay, in the corner. Perhaps we want to play with it, right? We need to play with layouts. There are layouts can go fancy because they allow us to create own layouts. But if we don't want to go in that direction, there are three choices. Column, row, and box. You can combine them if you want, in any combination. Column, it is for arrangement vertically, row horizontally, and box to have overlaps between items in it. For example, you want to put text on top of image, so you put them in a box, both center it, so you got text on top of image. Right? So there are three basic things: row, column, and box. So let's put it inside of that and see how it behaves. So for example, let's create column and put it inside of two things, whatever. Okay. So column, here it is, and put the text inside of it. What did I do wrong? I didn't balance this, so I don't need this part. Am I right? Column, no, scarfold. Now it's fine. All right. Now this supposed to be top layer. So this modifier supposed to go here. Because modifier is preventing overlap. It will prevent overlap on top of the outside thing, because this is no longer at the top because I can insert something in front of it. Okay. So this modifier goes here. Let's try change this behavior. I want this to be centered, for example, horizontally, right? Or even perhaps vertically. So let's try other options. Let's see options that we have. Oops. So yes. Okay, let's have. Let's stop recording. Let's have a quick break. So before break, we added a hello from Dice Cube message. It is displayed inside of the preview. We didn't run this app. When you run it, you need to make sure you're running app, not something else, because what we ran it before. If it is too much, you can always delete things that you don't want by right-clicking this delete one. See? I'm not running app. I'm just looking at the preview now. Useful feature about preview. When you click on compose function, it tries to highlight what you just clicked. So in this skyfold, it's taking entire screen because it is fill max size. If we click on column, you'll see column is just around text, so it's not stretched. If you click on text, it is just on top of it. Now let's try to align text and see what happens. So you can align things two ways: align specific element and align everything inside of column, for example, or inside of row. So let's try to align specific element first. It goes through modifier. So you say modifier, and I want to center it horizontally. A modifier dot align alignment dot center horizontally. Didn't do? Why? The reason, it is a kind of expected. The reason why it couldn't align this horizontally, because column is just around it. Alignment within the column center horizontally, it is within that small box. Technically, it is aligned, but column itself is not aligned. Okay. So how to deal with it? Logical way, it's probably stretch column horizontally. Right? So I'm going here, and in the column, there is a modifier. So I can say, remember like fill max size here. So I can fill max size here. So it is padding dot fill max size. Okay. Now when I go to column, am I right? Column, it is stretched all around, you see? It's not refreshed column. You see, it is stretched all around. So this could align within, it is wide enough to have alignment. Okay. If you want to have it for one, you do it this. If you have several things in column, some could be centered, some left, some right, so you have flexibility. You can set default alignment right here and override it for specific elements with modifier. So let's set it up at the top and remove it and see that it will still stay aligned. Okay? So this will be a horizontal alignment and alignment center horizontally. So I add it to the column, so it will apply by default to everything. You can override it here. So we can delete this thing now. Let's wait till refresh, so it works. So by default, I set alignment in the column horizontally, so I don't need to do it for every element. There is such thing, it's also arrangement. And let's play with that one. Vertical arrangement. Let's say arrangement center. Let's see what it does. Did it do it? Yeah, I got it to the center, right? What if it is more than one element? What is, say, immutable sorts arrangement? It did work, but why it is with red in it? No, it is just fluke. So it worked. What if it is more than one? It will not overlap. It will center. It will gather all them close to center. There are other arrangements. You can have distribute and other things with gaps. There are many options. Play with it. But this is kind of okay for now, centered horizontally. Okay. So there are arrangement and alignment. On for row, it will be vice versa. A vertical alignment and horizontal arrangement. Okay. So next. So what to do next? Let's play with text a little bit. We can change font size. And when we set font sizes, it is in SP. SP is a special unit. It's called scalable pixels. When user is changing font sizes in settings, like accessibility options, it will scale your font. SP stands for scalable pixels. There is also a unit called DP. It is density-independent pixels. If you say like 20 dp, it will be on any screen resolution. It will be exactly the same size if you put on ruler next to it. It will be the same size on ruler. So a dp, it is the same distance by ruler, regardless of the screen resolution. And SP, it is scalable pixels depending on user preferences for fonts. So if I say this is font size 20, and I say dot, and SP stands for scalable pixels. SP needs to be imported if it's not imported, but now it did import SP by default, you see at the top, after I type it. So it will get larger, hopefully. Did it get larger? Maybe. Who knows? It is hard to say. Let's try to say 60 and see if it gets larger, really. Loading? Oh, yeah, it got. OK, so it did work. But 60, it is definitely too much. So let's change it to 20. $24. Okay. There is a nicer way of doing it with this is to set set styles for those pieces. Okay. To edit theme and refer to them. We will learn how to do it later, but now it is just learning simple things. This is font size. If we want to add padding with specific size, like around it or to the top or to the left, for example, if it is aligned to the left, I want to set gap with padding, and in this case, I will specify it with DP, density independent pixels. So let's try to override it to the left and see how it happens. With modifier align to the left and set some padding to it. Okay. So I set modifier dot padding. No, first let's. It doesn't really matter what is first because it will be dot something. Okay. Modifier padding. If I set just say 20 dp, it will be all around. We need to import dp, import property dp. Okay. It is all around. If I want to be specific from the left, right? I need to say start. Start means left. If it is language left to right, start, it is left. Okay. Start 20 dp, but we don't see this because it is still in the center. Right? So dot align. Remember how we had it before. Align, alignment, start. So let's see if it overrides. Yes, it overrode center horizontally because it was for specific one. If I add another one, another entry in the column, it will use default from the top. Okay, and I got padding here. Okay, so when I click here, I will see padding from the left 20. Okay. So this is the meaning of DP and SP. SP is scalable pixels according to font size preferences of the user global in the operating system. And this is density independent pixels. You put ruler to the screen on any device, it is exactly the same distance. Now let's do something about dice. All right? So we need at least one more text to display number first and one button, right? So let's add button first. Button. There is one required parameter for the button. It is what to do on click. So you can say on click. And what is assigned is lambda function to be executed on click. Currently, it's empty, lambda function, so nothing will be executed when we click on it. What is inside of it? It is what will be inside of the button itself. Simplest case scenario, it is text. So let's put some, now it is empty because this is empty. Let's put text and say roll the dice. If you do not say text equal to, it will be the first parameter, which is actual text. So, see, you see, it assumes the first parameter text. See, roll days. Okay, roll days. You see that this is text, and they are not in the resource. Remember that we're supposed to use resource text in order to make program kind of easy translatable between languages. We don't translate it, but let's learn to do it right way. Is to extract this to string resource. How to do it? Click on this one and say, extract string resource. If it doesn't show up, this button, this light bulb, you can click on it and Alt Enter or Option Enter on Mac, and it probably gives you choice. Yes, extract string resource. Option Enter on Mac or Alt Enter on Windows. Extract string resource. String resource doesn't have too much on it. You can call it whatever, but you cannot use space in the name. So this is why they put it space here by default. Okay. When you click on it, and now it did go to string resource. We can find it in strings. You see, it is roll dice, roll dice. When we go back, somehow it's not happy. I have no idea. Let me think. Perhaps R is not imported, or I need to synchronize project. So let's try to synchronize project first with elephant button. So it did help. Okay. And sometimes you need to import R manually, and there are multiple R's. Make sure it is the R for your project. When you do R string and it doesn't pick it up. So you import R for your project because there are multiple R's. Okay. There are R's from libraries like default resources for Android, whatever. Now this is extracted, and you see it is get string resource, assign it to text. You can do text explicitly if you want. Say text. It's the string resource. We can repeat this one because just for practice, the same way, either from this button. This is a little too much. I will just say hello. Okay, hello. Okay. And okay, and now it is hello. I synchronized again. Somehow it didn't pick it up that it is already in the resource, so now it is there. As you see, there is a button, there is piece here. Maybe now we want some gap in between, right? So this is where padding really helpful. So we go with the button and set modifier padding. Modifier padding top and give some DP number which looks reasonable. Maybe okay, let's do to 24 DP. If it doesn't do well, we can change. It is out of date. Refresh. Why is this? Create extension companion padding. No, this is fine. Oh, it did. It just took a while to do it. Okay. There is a way to set global in a column. This will apply to every element. Okay. If I do that, I will lose some piece. I will lose centering if I do that. Because this will go into vertical arrangement spaced by, and this does not combine with center for some reason. I don't know why. You can try to combine it. Maybe now it does, but last time I checked it, it doesn't. Okay. So if we want to set it globally, I will have to get rid of center. It's not combinable, unfortunately. Last time I checked it, because I do this, and it's, oh, there is a spacing, but spacing it is not actually function call. Let's try. Spaced by? No, it doesn't do it. There is a way to do it. It's like dot spaced by. You see, spaced by. This will be global, but I don't know how to combine it with center vertically. Okay. There is a way to combine it, put it inside of the box that which is centered. To have a box with spaced by inside of it. No, box that contains column, box is space, it is centered, and column has spaced by in it. So there is a way to do it, but more complicated. I don't know how to do it easier. Is to put column in the box, center the box, and do spaced by inside of the column. So I have been returning back to center for vertical arrangement. So I got button. This is definitely nothing happens when I click on it. I need some value to display, right? So I need to have text and actual value to display. So let's do, say, dice value. Since it's variable, okay, let's do var dice value, and let's assign something by default. So it is 1. It is complaining because I don't change it yet, right? Let's try to display this. Okay, let's keep it happy. Well, okay. Let's display it with text. So above the button, I will create some text that will just display this value. Okay, so text, and in the text, I will say dice value. Since it's text, I need to convert it to string, right? To string. It expects string, so I need to match the type. I converted that now integer to string in order to match parameter type of text. So text, dice value to string. So I got this a little bit, so we can change font size of it. And this could be really big because it's only one number, right? So let's put it 40, okay? 40 ASP. So let's see. Why it is tiny? Oh, it is now 1. Right? We can add gap the same way as modifier. So well, we can clean up later. But now let's make it work, right? So if I try to update this number, it will not work. First, it is val, but I can change it to var. Okay. If I try to update it, say dice value plus equal 1. It will compile, but nothing good is going to happen. The reason is that I update it after it is displayed. Because when it is displayed, it will be 1. I changed it, but it's not used after. When next time system calls this function, it will be still 1 because it is assigned to 1. So this line does not do anything. Although it will probably compile. Let's try. Let's make sure that it doesn't work. But you see the issue, right? So we need something smarter than that. First, we want this thing to be remembered between function calls. So it will not reset to 1 each time. Okay, so I will close preview because now I need to run it. Right? Our preview is not runnable by default. It's not doing it, although it is incrementing the C. potentially, right? But it stays with 1 because what is displayed is 1 from the top. It is updating after it is displayed. So it is multiple step issue. First, I need to remember this value. So it's not reset to 1 each time when this function is called. It will be set to 1 first, and after this it will be remembered. So I will have to use remember. But this remember will not resolve the issue at all. The reason is that updating this variable will not trigger call of the function by default. It might, but it's not guaranteed. So it's not really a solution. It will update this variable, but will not update the screen. This is the issue. It will update the variable, but not the screen, at least by default. So let's I need to have a special kind of variable that is triggering update of the screen. You see it's not triggering update of the screen. Although variable is changing, it's remembered, but it's not updating the screen. So we need to have a special kind of variable that will trigger update of the screen when we assign to it. So this is state, call it state variable. There are state variables and mutable state. In this case, we need to have a mutable state because we're going to update it. Okay? So currently it is +1, so just to see change, it's not random. So let's create variable of mutable state. A type is mutable state. I will specifically say type so it is clear what it is. You don't have to specify type when you assign something right away. A mutable state int of int. And now there is a type mismatch. Because this is int, but it's not mutable state of int. Right? So I need to convert 1 to mutable state. So it is mutable state of 1. Now type, oops, sorry, of 1. So now type is matched. Okay, so this is object, mutable state object. This is why it can be val, because I do not reassign this variable. I'm changing content of the object, right? So val. Why it's unhappy? Mutable state of mutable. You can optimize it, say mutable int state of. It will be optimized for integer because storing integer. And this is kind of general, right? So we can say mutable int state of, import mutable state int of to keep it happy. All right? But it is different type, right? So we just need to change this to value, and now it's happy. Because it's dice value, it is an object storing value inside that we're updating. So technically it's not dice value anymore, right? It is dice state. Okay? So we can just rename it to dice state in order to. How to rename it? We do refactor, rename, and say state. Yeah, okay, good. And when you do rename with refactoring, it will change here. So changing state variable will trigger update of this value inside of state variable will trigger update of the screen. So let's hope it works. Otherwise, it's embarrassing. Okay. It's embarrassing. It doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? Because remember toString of the state. It is taking toString of state object. Remember that by default toString is garbage. It is name of the class and some number. This is what has happened. Name of the class and some number. Okay? So we need to display really not state, but state dot value, right? toString. Okay. So let's stop it and run. Because it will be toString of an object, and state does not have nice toString. Okay? Now it is nice. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now you know how to count runs, right? But now a goal is to do it with dice now. Okay? Since we have dice value, and this is run counter. I did it a long way to explain the concept of state. State, it is just a variable inside of compose functions that triggers update of the screen. So when you change value of this inside of the state object, system will trigger update of the screen in optimal way. It will optimize it such way you will see your value from this function. Okay. Next, there is a shortcut that Google loves. And that shortcut is explained right away without this step. And it creates a little mystery. This is why I'm not going to shortcut right away. I did it slightly longer way to explain it. Shortcut is using delegation. Delegation of properties. A delegation is a property of, this is feature of Kotlin. Some other languages do have variants of delegation. A keyword for delegation in Kotlin is by. So what Google is using in examples, they create integer variable that delegates setter and getter to state object. So when you assign to that integer variable, it will call setter of the object where this assignment is delegated. So it will trigger update of the screen, but fancy way. Right? So instead of declaring state explicitly like this, they declare integer variable. Explicitly say dice value. And this is integer. You don't have to specify int, but it is integer, right? And this variable is delegating setter and getter to what is on the right by this. If I say by just like that, it will delegate only getter, because this is val. Right? But I need to delegate also setter, because I'm assigning value to it. So it has to be var to delegate setter and getter from it to what is on the right. So when I assign value to dice value, it will call setter of this thing, mutable state, and calling setter of mutable state will trigger update of the screen. So this is how this magic works. Why it is underlined? Perhaps we need to import. You see, import. Say right click, maybe. Alt enter. Let's try alt enter. Yes. Import operators in state get value and state get value. It's not done yet because we need to import set value as well. Press alt enter again, and it did import it. So let's see. set value, get value. So this is fancy thing to avoid this stuff. So now I can use dice value instead of state.value to string. And this will be to string of integer, because only setter and getter delegated, not to string. And this piece are also dice value. Right. So when you look inside of Google examples, even the first ones, they use keyword by, and it's not clear what it's doing. This piece is creating object, which is mutable state object, and by is delegating setter and getter to that object. So when you assign this integer variable, it's not assigning actual this variable. It is calling setter of that object to trigger screen. When you read this variable, it's calling getter from that. So value is stored here. And this is just delegation from this variable into setter and getter of that one. It's supposed to work. If it doesn't work, it is embarrassing. Let's try. Okay. It works. Next. Let's make it random, since it's dice. Okay. Since we know how to update it, we can do it, say, brute force, and after this, we can do it fancy and fancier, keep making more and more fancy. So brute force is just to create dice object here and call roll and assign value. So let's do it first. So I'm creating dice object here, dice. I need to import it, Alt-Enter on top of it, Alt-Enter or Option-Enter on Mac. It says, didn't say. It's not called dice, it's called dice cube. Dice cube. See, import this thing, Alt-Enter, dice cube imported. We need to roll it to get one random one. So it is dice dot roll, and we assign dice dot value. It's not plus equal, it is just equal, right? Dice dot value. All right. What is the issue each time when we click on it is creating new dice object? This would be serious issue if data is coming from something fancy. It will recreate stuff, and potentially really a lot of stuff. And this is why these dice should be stored in different place. At least in view model, or even better elsewhere. Right? And view model is also part of the GUI, but at least it will preserve it, so it will not recreate this one inside of the function. But this definitely will work. But issue with this particular code is that on every click, it creates new dice object. So let's run it and see if it is making this random at least. Kind of random, right? There is a simple brute force way around is to put these dice inside of remember. So it will not recreate this object each time when we click on it. This is kind of so-so solution. So technically we can do this. We can say val dice cube, assign remember. So this object will not be recreated. And say dice cube in it as initialization. Oops, sorry. Constructor call. Dice cube. And this will be, you can still keep it 1 because it will be synchronized. Dice cube by default is 1. Or you can assign it from dice cube dot value. It will be initial value of that one. Okay, now I have dice already, but I still need to roll it. So I keep roll, but I do have dice. Okay. So let's see if it works. Hopefully it does. Starts with 1, 2. Next, let's try to rotate the screen. So I click rotate button at the top. Now, what happened? Data is lost. So it is remembered, but remembered between function calls in refreshing screens. But data is lost. Lost in rotation. Okay. Yes. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. If we have like a regular variable which is not remembered, when function is called, it will be just whatever you assign.
So below that.
Yeah. So it remembers this piece essentially, and it will assign this variable to the variable.
Right. But then below that, right below that.
It will remember this piece, and it will assign it to the variable. It will not remember this variable, it will remember this piece.
So it's like a static value, right?
Yeah, it's like a variable outside of the function, essentially.
Yeah, and if that value changes, it doesn't update.
It will trigger, this will not trigger screen because it's not a state. It will be just remembered value. Remember how we said remember dice value without state? It didn't update screen.
Oh, so when dice updates it.
Yeah. We had one step, experimentation. Without state, it will just remember int. And it didn't trigger screen.
So that's why we're explicitly reassigning dice value.
Yes, to trigger screen. Yeah. There is a better ways to put this elsewhere. Okay. So this is triggering screen. This is not status, not triggering. If you try to put it somehow here, you will have to reassign dice cube in order to trigger screen, because changing what is inside will not trigger screen. You have to assign to value of state in order to trigger screen. There is a way to preserve it during rotation. If we say, remember savable. Unfortunately, in order to use remember savable, it has to be a special class, either default one like integer. You cannot use it with the class that you declared unless you add extra features. You define how you want to save it. So as key value pairs, for example. So it is possible to make dice cube savable. But if I say savable, probably it won't work. If I say savable here, it will. And it will do the trick. Because this is what is displayed. This will be recreated cool, but who cares? Not cool, but who cares? During rotation, it will be recreated. But what is displayed will not be lost because this is savable. Okay. So let's try. Remember savable. This will be discarded during rotation and recreated again. But this will not be reinitialized because it was savable. Okay. I cannot make it savable because I need to customize this class to make it savable. It is just a little extra work. Okay. So let's try. Hopefully it will work. If it's not, okay. At least we tried. So let's put it back, run. We have 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So we need to deal with images, right? So next, stop. So this works like 4. Let's try to rotate. Still 4. This was discarded, but this was not discarded, so it's still 4. Okay. So this is a primitive way to say stuff during rotation, and later we will, like next lesson, we will use view models for it. So let's deal with images. First, let's learn how to import images to project. So for this purpose, I posted those images here in week 2. There is a zip that contains only images. There is a format for images in XML. In Android, it is in XML format. There are, I think it's possible to convert other formats into that XML by Android Studio. I think SVG goes this way. We can try doing this. It is scalable. XML format is scalable. You can use ping, which is not scalable, but it will work. If you import images of PNG, it will behave similarly, except for different devices, it may be not really nice if you have resolution high, but it will be kind of blurred. Okay. So download this one and unzip it inside of download folder, like you do it in Mac. You double click on it, it will unzip it. So how to import it? So let me stop it. And I'm going to this. On Mac, it will be the top line. And I go to Tools and something, our Resource Manager. To open Resource Manager that shows only icons. Next, click plus and says Import Drawables. I'll browse to the place where you unzip it, like download this folder, highlight entire piece, and say open, and it will import this. It opens import drawable, yeah, next. Import. Git says edit to, should I add it to a version control system? I said yes. And hopefully it is imported. Yeah, you see it is imported. Where does it go? It goes to resources drawables. You see drawable resources. Okay. And next. I don't remember that step. I have to look up. Okay. And we also import another project. And I will just look up in this project because it's quicker. Okay. How to display image. I forgot. Oops. Okay. So next, I do go to Slate. There is one project called Dice Game. What's this? What's this? It appears like I didn't post it. It's empty, right? Okay, I will post it. So I will copy this piece. Open on my hard drive. Dice game. select, new window, because I want to keep that one. I can just close this one. I have no idea why it is, yeah, it is just importing. I push it in the wrong place. I push it into dice cube Android F. This is why it's not going. It's supposed to go to dice game. So I messed up. I really messed up it. How could I do that? We imported dice cube and I didn't have that garbage in it, right? No, I didn't. I have no idea what that means. Maybe it is dice game. Okay, let's copy. I will push it directly there. I messed up. New, manage remotes. No. Git, manage remotes. Waste manage, we manage remotes. I accidentally pushed it to dice cube. But it didn't go, which is okay. It was probably rejected, so that's why it didn't go. So I will remove this thing, yes. I remove this thing, yes. Add Control V, dice game, say okay, push. Refresh this thing. Yay, we got it. All right. So we're here. We say code, copy. Refresh this and say code, copy. And now we clone it. How to clone it and keep this window open? You click here and say new from version control, project from version control, and paste this thing. Control V, and I say in class, so it doesn't go into the same place. Dice game in class. And let's clone it. New window, because we want to copy paste, trust project. Close this arrow if it shows, close this thing, and just wait. It is the same stuff, but with several dice in it. You can choose number of dice. So it is fancier. And it's using view model. So that part related to view model is not really copy-pastable at this moment because it's different approach. All right, so let's try to run it to see what it does. Okay. It has a scrolling option, so it is fancier, so we can scroll this way. It is definitely not losing data when we rotate. We can select, like, for example, 2 dice, a roll, it shows 2, roll, 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 and obviously it is updating images, so let's look up how it's done, okay? I'm going to code, project, Kotlin, dice game, and UI, a roller, it is, this is roller screen. roll it body, roll it, UI state, roll it body. It is body of the screen. Okay. Next, I will close this one because I will copy paste code. Dice images row, so this is where it lives. So I'm going to dice images row. So let's find where it is. A dice values row, a dice values row, dice images row. So what it's doing? Value in dice image for the value. So it is creating row with the loop of calling this function. So magic is here, dice image function, dice image. So this is how to insert it. Well, content description value to string, dice image resource ID for the value. This is my own function, define it here. So I need these two functions. Okay. And this is just a when. Remember that when is returning value. Right? And works like switch. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, use these values. So I'm converting integer to a resource value. So I need this one, and I need actual function call for this. So in my code, I will call dice image for the integer. This is default modifier to insert that image. So I need this too. Painter is using a resource ID to display this image content description. It is for screen readers. This is for size of the image. So it is not huge. So it is a reasonable size. Okay? So I need this too. Obviously, this is kind of tedious to remember. So this is why I'm copying it. All right? So copy from here and going back, not to roll it body. Okay. This is my dice cube, right? No, this is dice game. I have 3 because I push it from it. So it doesn't matter which one. From, I also need, I'm in dice cube. Right? So I found where it is in image body, image row. Did you get where it was? All right, again. In dice game, I found roll it body, I scroll it, and I found dice image. This is composable function that I created to wrap image call for convenience. And inside of it, I'm calling conversion function from integer using when this use this, when this use this, otherwise use 6. Okay? To have proper resource for given integer. So I need these two pieces in my code, so I can call dice image to insert image, and it's calling composable function from library image. So I copy this piece, and I'm going here to, no, is this dice cube? No, it's dice game. Let's get rid of one of them. I have 2 because I open it code that I push it into GitHub. Okay? Right. So where should I put the code? Anywhere, like for example here. I'm just calling composable function. I'll paste. Should I import anything? Does it complain? No, it doesn't. It's already imported everything. So I need to call this for value. So let's try. So this is the text that displays number. Let's put it above text. Okay, let's do dice image. Of dice value. Okay, let's run. Android Studio shares the screen between different different windows of Android Studio. This is why you see output from another piece. Okay, we didn't change colors, so it is default colors. Hello from Android game. It displays 1 because it's starting value 1. And you see it's updating. Okay. Goal for today is done. Okay, so practice. Try to beautify it. Figure out how to change colors. This is difficult because text has color option. I believe it's called text color or something like that. Look up. It's not difficult. Start typing, and it will give you options. So this is to change colors of that. Buttons also has option to change colors if you want. Add button to reset. Add total when you click roll, roll, roll. So it will update total. Add counter, how many rolls. When you display text, you can format it by joining it if you want, or there is a fancy way to format string. So there are multiple options. Just play it before next lesson. And I will also play it and put some code as a starting. So we will start exactly the same code. Okay. Right. I will not add extra features. So what is in exercise, I will not add them. I will just beautify what I have. So I have nice margins around, but I will not be total anything like that. Yes?
Last week you said you were going to tell us about the conventions.
Oh, I forgot, sorry. It's on developerandroid.com. There is a search option. Try to coding convention.
So just use the one in this side.
The one, I'm following it. So if you stick to what I use, it is the right one. If you go to developerandroid.com, there is a search box, coding conventions. It will bring it up. Last time it was working this way. I will post it. Okay. I'm trying to follow it, so it is that one.